Welcome into the Point After with Mitch Kaiser. I'm your host, Mitch Kaiser, and we are coming to you live today, Tuesday, January 20th. It's actually my birthday. Fun fact. Today is actually my birthday. I turned 28, so almost 30, kind of getting up there. But the present I got was the championship game last night, which I could not have asked for a better game than that. That was an all-time college football matchup between all-time battle of heavyweights. Could not have asked for a better championship game. So exciting. The Indiana Hoosiers won 27-21 with an all-time fourth quarter. And we're going to get into that game. We're going to dive into my points after for the national championship and what they ultimately mean for college football going forward. Going to talk about some of the implications of both quarterbacks and what their projected draft stock will be at the next level, and kind of how each of their careers ended up. As thought it was a really good storyline of the quarterbacks, thought it was a really good battle, and thought it was an all-time championship game. So, let's dive right into it. My points after for this one, all-time battle of heavyweights. So, Indiana Hoosiers and Miami Hurricanes, 10-1, but these were two evenly matched teams, man. I mean, this was a even game across the line of scrimmage. Obviously, it was more of a chess match early, but Miami stayed in there. They weathered the storm, and they got to the fourth quarter, which was their goal. You know, I heard Chris Ball talking about that in a couple online interviews I watched. They were talking about how they wanted to get to the fourth quarter with a chance to win, and they absolutely did that, and they absolutely had a chance at the final touchdown. You know, they were 40 yards away from a touchdown, from a game-winning touchdown. So, epic game. Fun fact, Indiana is the first team since Yale in 1894 to go 16-0, win the national championship. So just insane, something that's never been done over 100 years. First team since Yale in 1894 to go 16-0. So congrats to the Indiana Hoosiers. Congrats to Curt Cignetti and Fernando Mendoza. What an epic season. Just an all-time turnaround in sports, all-time college football turnaround. And they're here to stay, man. They are not going anywhere. We're not gonna get too much into next season on this episode, but they're gonna be right back in the picture next year. They've got TCU's quarterback Josh Hoover coming in the transfer portal, and they've reloaded at every position, including wide receiver like Nick Marsh coming over from Michigan State. So they're gonna be elite again next year. They'll probably be a preseason top 3 team, and Cignetti built a juggernaut, man, in 2 seasons. I've never seen anything like it. 2 seasons it took them to win the national championship. Just an all-time turnaround. It gives belief to the fans of all college football teams, every school in the country, that you can do this. You can turn around your program with the right coach and the right process and the right system. Mendoza said they were process-oriented from day one, and coming in from the spring after he transferred to California, and said they were all process-oriented at every position group, from special teams, offense, defense, you name it. Very impressive team, very impressive run. Congratulations to Curt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers on their first ever schools national championship. So, yeah, like I said, knew this game was going to be a chess match early. Ended 27-21, but there was only 10-0 at halftime, which was honestly what I was expecting. I kind of thought it was going to be a low-scoring game in the first, and then I fully anticipated the fourth quarter to open up, and that's kind of how a lot of those games go when you're just kind of feeling out each other on the teams. And then Mark Fletcher opened it wide up in the first drive of their second half for Miami with that 2nd and 5 carry to get to like a 50-yard touchdown run on outside zone. So I thought they should have been running the outside more with Fletcher. It was working. They did it like 3 times, and he gained over 15 yards on each play, including the one giant touchdown burst. So really impressive by Fletcher. Truly elite running back for college football. I think he needs to come out and declare in this NFL draft. They do not build running backs like him anymore. Quick note on him. Not saying he's Derrick Henry. He's not Derrick Henry, but that is his build at the running back position. So find a better comp than that for him at the next level. Obviously not going to be Derrick Henry, but that's who he runs like, man. So I definitely think Fletcher should come out in this draft. But enough on him. Enough on Miami for now. I thought it was an incredible ending, epic finish. It was the best, in my opinion, it was the best national championship game since the 2017 season, where we had the first clash of Georgia versus Alabama, the overtime game where Tua threw the pass to Devontae Smith in the end zone to walk it off, and they come back against Georgia in that one. So I thought it was the best championship game since that game. Believe it or not, we have not had a closer score than, I want to say, 11 points, which was last season against Ohio State Notre Dame game that was like 34-23, I think was the final. This was the first one-score game that we've had since that Georgia-Alabama game. I'm like 99% sure. I would have to look back at each of the scores. I'm actually going to rank the last 10 national championship games on a graphic and post that out in my Substack. So that's an article that's going to come out later this week, because the last 10 championship games, going back to, I believe that we started with the 14 playoff back in 2016. So I want to rank the last 10 because I'm pretty passionate about some of those old games, and this one might be at the top. I would have to really list them out and see what we got, but this one's very close to the top, if not number one. So all-time national championship game. Again, I could not have been more pleased with it, and just congrats to the Indiana Hoosiers. They'll be right back in there next time. So, all right, moving on. My next point after, so this is just a point after on Fernando Mendoza. So Mendoza rides off into the sunset, as a lot of college football fans wanted, and he gets the full quarterback honeymoon experience, likely honeymoon experience of Heisman, national championship, and number one overall pick. It's presumed he's going number one to the Raiders. I would be shocked at this point if they took any other quarterback at number one. I think they'd probably be making a mistake. So you can almost lock that in right now. But yeah, no, this was an all-time run for Mendoza. Something that the last quarterback to do this was Joe Burrow. If you remember in 2019, Burrow won the Heisman, national championship, and then number one pick for the Bengals. So Mendoza's doing the same. He's the first quarterback to pull it off since. So pretty impressive stuff. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to be a successful QB for the Raiders, and I'm all in on him at the next level. I mean, he showed so much poise, passion, and just overall, like, just bravery, athleticism, strength, charisma, you name it. All the words. He's a franchise leader, winner, accurate, good decision maker, and the play of a lifetime on 4th and 5 to run it in. He said in an interview post-game, Fernando did, that was not a designed run. He was planning to throw that football, and then a split second made that decision to run up the middle, and then eventually dove in for the touchdown. Just all-time heroic stuff right there. Looked like Josh Allen on that play. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not saying that's his comp. That's, we'll pump the brakes on that NFL comparison. But he showed a little Josh Allen on that play with the rushing ability and the Superman ability of jumping in. He's got a similar build. He's 6'5", 240, big, strong build like Josh Allen. I think he's more of the Kirk Cousins, Joe Flacco, Dak Prescott prototype of like quarterback, because I don't think Mendoza is going to use his legs like Allen does at the next level. But that was kind of what he looked like in that game last night. A little bit of Josh Allen just kind of laying his body on the line in the play of a lifetime to ultimately seal the national championship for Indiana. Some thought they should have done it again on the final 4th and 5 with like 2 minutes to go. I thought they made the right decision personally, because I do think going up 6 versus 3 was key, because Miami had Carter Davis kind of struggled in the playoffs, but he has a long leg and he can kick long field goals and make them. So I do think that was smart to go up 6 and, really require them to get a touchdown, because it's going to be so much harder to score a touchdown than a field goal. Obviously Miami's kicker missed one prior in the game, a 50-yarder that I did not think they should have attempted on that 4th and 2 before halftime. Thought that was the wrong decision by Cristobal. Thought he should have handed the ball off to Fletcher one more time to get another few more yards on 4th and 2. And if you don't get it there, I think that's okay, and you're going into halftime still down 10 only. But either way, worked out for Indiana. The 3 points was needed. Obviously, Miami only got to like the 44-yard line, so they didn't really even get into field goal range anyway. But they came close, and I think they would have played it differently had Indiana not attempted a field goal. So I thought it was the right decision by Curt Cignetti, but it was only because of that false start on the 2nd and 1 by Carter Smith, who is the best left tackle in college football. I believe he had the highest PFF grade among all tackles in the FBS this season. So just an elite left tackle, one of their best players. And for him to make that error in that critical moment, that almost cost Indiana the national championship, like full stop. So for him to flinch and get the false start and back him up to 2nd and 6 when they could have put the game away after getting that one more first down, that was huge. Like, that was massive. And you saw Beck on the sideline, like you saw him wake up because it looked like they were down and out, and Miami thought they weren't even going to get the ball back with a chance. And then he did. And then, obviously we know what happened with the final drive, the interception by Beck. But yeah, no, that was I thought the field goal was critical there, and I did think they made the right decision ultimately. Thought Mendoza obviously did not play his best game, but still was good enough and made the right decisions. Didn't turn the ball over at all. Did not, ran the ball in for the touchdown. Great stuff out of Mendoza. That's a tough defense. The Bain and company and Mesidor, they still got home to him. I believe they sacked him once. And they competed, all season long. We talked about Miami's pass rush and their line of scrimmage, and they were not outmatched in this game at all. So they showed up to play, and they were right there in a battle with a chance to win the game on the final drive. So happy for Mendoza. Congrats to him and his family. I love when they keep showing him and his family. An awesome storyline, him being from Miami and getting to come back home and play that game and win that game in front of his high school fans. And, that was pretty awesome. So congrats to him. I'm wishing him luck in the next level. And there's no doubt in my mind, I think he'll be a great choice for the Raiders at number 1. And I think he can turn that franchise around. So Tom Brady was on the field last night watching him up close. So that's going to be his new franchise QB, owner of the Raiders, Tom Brady, that is. So, yeah, so good stuff on Mendoza. Very good career. That'll, undoubtedly be his last game in college. What a season he gave us. The ultimate leader, the ultimate competitor, the ultimate winner. I can't get enough of his interviews. I love him. I was not high on the guy coming into the season, but he's totally won me over, and he's made a fan out of me. So I'm all in, and really loved what I saw last night. So. All right, final point after I want to make on this one. So we're going to talk about the losing team on this real quick, and the anti-hero figure of this game, right? So I wrote an article before the game that I was pretty passionate about. I was pretty hyped up about it, and it was Carson Beck and the cost of legacy. And I wrote about how he has become college football's greatest villain of the decade. And I don't think there's an argument against that. I think he was the best villain we've seen this decade, and he'll go down as an all-time villain in the sport. The discourse around Beck, all right, here's the point after for this one. The Carson Beck career discourse makes no sense to me, and I think it's wildly undervalued. This guy is 37-6 in his career as a starter. Again, 6 seasons of college football, he lost 6 games. That's crazy. That's elite level winning right there. 37-6, he almost had a chance to win that last night. He got a chance at the legacy drive, which I can't even believe he got that opportunity for. A lot of people thought Cignetti should have ran the ball on 4th and 5 to close it out, pick up one more first down, end the game, run the clock out. Again, like I said, I thought it was the right call to go up by 6 and get the field goal, but had that false start not happened by Carter Smith, the 2nd and 1, they definitely would have picked up the yard and ended it right there. So as a fan who likes the movie cinematic endings and the storylines, I was super excited that Beck got a chance at the legacy drive to win it. I thought it was epic. I thought it was a great storyline, and I honestly thought it was a fitting ending for his career too. And I don't mean that negatively. I'm genuinely a Carson Beck fan. I've become kind of a huge fan of him over the past month, because when you win and prove doubters wrong and prove haters wrong, I become a fan, and I'm impressed by it. And I think winning silences all. And this is a guy who just all he did was win and put up good numbers in the process. I don't really understand the negative discourse around him and his career. And I'm talking on the field. We're keeping this on the field. You can say whatever you want about him off the field. I've heard stories about his character and whatever. We're not going to get into that. I'm not going to pretend like I know the guy at all, but hey, I like watching him play football. I think he's a darn good quarterback, and I think he truly should be mentioned in some of the names of like some all-time college quarterback stuff. I mean, again, I'm not throwing him in the high up top 10, top 15 rankings of quarterbacks, but the track record this guy has at 2 schools, the full body of work is very impressive to me that only certain quarterbacks have, certain like legends of the game have. Here's a stat for you right here. So versus AP ranked teams, he has the 3rd best winning percentage all time behind only Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. That's 2 superstar quarterbacks in the NFL. So like, what are we talking about here, right? I mean, again, this is not a campaign to get back into the first round. I don't think he should be a first round pick. I would not draft him in the first round. This is more just a campaign to acknowledge the college career that this guy had, because he's an all-time college quarterback and he's an all-time villain for the sport, whether people like to admit it or not. And I'm going to miss watching him, truly. I love what he did at Miami this season. I loved how he proved all the doubters wrong after he left Georgia and went there and brought him back. And he was 44 yards away from winning that game. 44 yards away from the final touchdown, legacy drive, and then just like becoming like, you know, a legend forever. So, I don't understand the negativity around him and why people don't give him more credit for what he's accomplished in 3 seasons at Georgia and Miami. So, you know, you can use the argument that he was on extremely good teams. That's fair. I think that with great players, that's fair. But you can use that argument for any QB. You know, like Joe Burrow had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson on his team. Like, what do you want him to do? Like, Mac Jones had Jerry Jeudy, and Najee Harris, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, like all these guys. Like, what do you want him to do? Not throw to those guys? Every Ohio State quarterback loses like 2 games total in their whole career because of the team they have around them. Like, I think people pick and choose when to use that argument. So I just think you deserve more credit sometimes as the quote unquote game manager quarterback. Like, I think you can still win with guys like that. Like, you've seen Super Bowls won with game winners in the past, or game managers in the past. So I just think there's a lot of QBs that would have messed it up along the way in this playoff run. And I know he didn't put up the most gaudy numbers in the 4 playoff games. You know, I think he had like only 100 yards against A&M, 130 against OSU, 270 against Ole Miss with the running touchdown. And then last night, I believe he's only like 19 of 32 with like 230 yards or something, but touchdown and a game-sealing pick, which I honestly thought was a very like fitting moment to end his run as a villain, and I thought it was kind of the perfect way for it to end. And on top of that, I saw a tweet that he did not shake the hand of Fernando Mendoza, the hero, the protagonist of the story. So I thought that was fitting too. And, you know, it honestly fits Beck's character. So I'm all for the cinematic storylines like that. And yeah, so that's all I want to say on Beck is I think the career discourse he has is kind of odd for a guy who's thrown over 11,000 passing yards and 90 touchdowns. So just while putting up, you know, efficient passer ratings, a top 2 QBR next to Baker Mayfield against ranked teams. So that's some elite company to be in too. And, you know, game managers is thrown around. The term game managers is tossed around in a negative light in the NFL, but like you can win with that. And I still think game managers deserve more credit than they get sometimes for not messing it up. And people call Brock Purdy a game manager. They're still the ones executing the throws on time. Throwing on time accurately is so much more important than people realize. Like a simple 3-yard check down to stay ahead of the chains can mean so much for the offense than people realize. So like, I don't think people should like pretend like Beck is like a bad QB, because I think that's not the case at all. I think we have 5 seasons of data on him that show otherwise, that show that he's been one of the best college quarterbacks of the last 5 years. And again, this is not I'm not even projecting Beck like as a high draft pick. And that's not the point of this argument. I think it's more just like to acknowledge what he did in college and just be impressed by it, because I think, everyone wanted to see him fail, and he really proved a lot of people wrong. So I think he should be proud of himself. I became a fan of him throughout this playoff run, and I will root for him wherever he goes in the NFL, because I still think this is a guy you're naturally excited about adding to your team in the third or fourth round. Wherever he ends up in the draft, whatever team he goes to, you're naturally excited, even if you say you aren't, because you know what he's accomplished. You've seen it. You've seen it over multiple seasons of college football versus drafting like quote unquote projects or guys who haven't really put up the numbers or wins in college that a guy like Beck has. You've seen what he's capable of, and you've seen how many games he's won. And even if you hate him, you're naturally intrigued by the idea of drafting him, and you can't tell me you're not. I just think he's one of those players where I was texting a buddy this morning about it, and I used Dak Prescott as the example here, because now I'm not comping Dak to Carson Beck stylistically and like physicality wise. Like, I'm not saying they're far different QBs build wise, but I just mean in terms of college experience, college starts, college success. Nobody thought Dak Prescott was going to be good in the pros, because he was like a fifth year at Mississippi State who had played there for forever and just put up numbers, and nobody really thought he was going to be good. And look at him now. He went fourth round of the Cowboys, and he's been their franchise QB for over a decade now. And he's like a top 12 quarterback in the league. So I'm not saying Carson Beck is going to become Dak Prescott. I'm just saying those are the types of QBs where you add them to your team as a backup. The starter goes down in an injury, Beck goes into play, and you feel comfortable with him because you've seen what he's done in college in high-pressure situations with the crowd wearing on him, high-pressure moments against elite defenses like Ohio State, A&M, Indiana, Ole Miss. Like, you've seen it, what he's done, and you're not as scared to throw a guy like Beck in there versus a guy who hasn't, maybe led a team to that many playoff games or something. So I'm intrigued to see where Carson ends up in the draft, because I just think he's one of those quarterbacks where like it won't surprise me at all if in a few seasons, wherever Beck is a backup, starter goes down with an injury, Beck comes into play, and the team goes like 8-0 in their next 8 games with Beck. And then it's like, this is just their guy. Like, that won't surprise me at all, because I do think he is extremely well coached. I think he's high IQ. I think he's accurate. And I kind of think he's a killer on the field. And I think he's got some of that like aura that you need at the next level. So that's all I'm saying on Carson Beck. I did not think I was going to become Carson Beck fan number 1 throughout this playoff run, but just some of the disrespect he's gotten in discourse wise, I just had to stand up for him. So I had to stand up for the villain here. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today on this episode. Again, best national championship game in almost a decade last night. Couldn't have been more pleased with the outcome. Just an all-time moment, all-time game between Cristobal and Cignetti, and they're both going to have their teams back here next year. Josh Hoover's coming into Indiana. They're going to be preseason top 3, no doubt. Miami, it sounds like they might be going after Darian Mensah, the Duke quarterback who just entered the transfer portal, and if they get him, then he might be the next Cam Ward for them. I mean, he's similar QB to Cam and has an elite arm right there. So if Miami can get him, they're going to be right back in the picture again as well with Malachi Toney. So they are losing Bain and Mesidor. That will be one of the best defensive lines we've seen in quite some time in college football, but Cristobal built a program, and they both built juggernauts, and this was an all-time college football season. I really enjoyed this year. I'm going to do a way too early later this week, and we'll also get some senior ball talk with TJ Wengert, who is going to come back on from draft analyst from 32 Beat Writers, and then I'll also be releasing a way too early this week. So That's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you listening. Hope you enjoyed the game last night. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to The Point After with Mitch Kaiser below, and have a great rest of your day.